Gear up for Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. It's your final word on sports all across the state. Here's your host, Phil Kornblue.
We don't want to take, because of our success this past year, somebody that's real talented that doesn't fit here. That's still not, it's not going to work regardless of talent. But the pool that we're recruiting from just got bigger.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back into Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Am I blowing your microphone? Am I blowing you away? All of a sudden, my level just dropped like I went off a cliff. I'm kind of fired up, pumped up, jacked up about tonight. Welcome in after a very, very nice weekend. Hope you had a great weekend. Phil Kornblue, the Professor Tom Hayes, at your service tonight with Jared Rogers-Martin. Once again, behind the bulletproof glass. 800-956-7266 is the phone number. You can reach us very easily. 800-956-7266. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com and on Twitter @SportsTalkSC. What a weekend. Plenty of things to talk about. We're going to lead off with baseball and USC and the College World Series. The two aren't directly connected, perhaps indirectly connected. We shall see. The College World Series Championship Series begins tonight, 7 o'clock, first pitch in Omaha, and it's Florida and LSU. So the two best teams in the SEC, they went 21-9 in league play. Florida won the regular season series 2-1. And the two best teams in the SEC are going to face off to determine who's the best team in the country this year. You really can't complain about the fact that it's these two. And the fact that I guess LSU had to beat Oregon State twice. Is that right? Yeah, it was LSU that had to go through Oregon State. And so they beat the number one team twice. And then Florida took care of business against TCU. And so that's the matchup tonight. Florida is 50-19, going for its first baseball national championship. Kevin O'Sullivan has got the Gators into the championship series for a second time. You recall back in 2011, they played that great series against South Carolina. The Gamecocks won that championship. And LSU is 52-18. They are going for a seventh World Series championship. 91, 93, 96, 97, 2000, and 2009. Paul Mainieri winning it in 2009, so he's going for his second national championship with the Tigers. Should be a great atmosphere. The LSU fans are pouring into Baton Rouge in a big way. Good number of Gator fans are there as well. And then you got those who just want to see great baseball, who are just traditional College World Series spectators. So why do I tie this in with South Carolina and the baseball search? Well, Ray Tanner told WIS Television in Columbia last night over at the George Rogers Foundation auction that he's so close on naming his new coach. In a few days, the date July 4th was thrown out there, and he sort of played off of that a little bit. But we're going to let you hear what he had to say here coming up in just a few minutes. But again, if you're trying to play Connect the Dots here, Pro, if you're trying to play Connect the Dots, you could say a couple of things. Number one, things continue to point towards Kevin O'Sullivan from the standpoint of the timing. So Ray's now saying a few more days. Okay, that gives time for the World Series to be played out for O'Sullivan to be available. Number one. Number two, as part of that thinking, if he wanted to hire somebody else besides O'Sullivan, who's on his lists, he could have done that already. This is just common sense here. This is not any kind of great think tank equation I've come up with here. I mean, obviously, if he had somebody else on his list that he wanted to hire, who he could hire, he would have done it already. And so now it seems pretty clear that he's going to wait for the Florida season to play out. I don't think the LSU coach is in play here. I don't think it's Mainieri. We've talked about the LSU pitching coach, but at 55, I don't think he would be the guy they're waiting on. It's pretty obvious that if he's waiting a few more days, he's waiting for the Kevin O'Sullivan thing to play out. That's the positive side of it. The side that keeps me from being convinced that this is going to happen, there's a couple of things. Number one, it's how much money South Carolina would have to fork over. And he would be paying O'Sullivan, when you think about it, more money than you're paying Frank Martin, more money than what you're paying Don Staley, I would think.
You mean combining the buyout with the paying? Okay.
Mm-hmm. So it would be a very costly deal for South Carolina up front to get Kevin O'Sullivan. Now, perhaps South Carolina is willing to pony up and pay that kind of money. Then the other side of that is Florida. I mean, Florida's not going to let their coach just up and walk away without a fight. And they've got a plan for an $86 million redo or rebuild of their stadium. And no doubt he's got clauses in his contract that will escalate his pay. He's already under contract for, 10 years, I think it is. People have thrown the talk out there about his family situation. I don't know what's fact or fiction. I hear he's getting a divorce from the wife. It's not very, very friendly. The kids are a big part of this. The wife's moving back to South Carolina, so he wants to be in South Carolina so the kids can be close to the mother. Then I heard today the wife's not leaving Florida, so that's not part of the equation. I mean, I don't know. I'm not part of the family dimensions there. I don't sit down at dinner with them to find out what's going on in their lives. But the other question here, too, when you think about it, is when you hire a coach, of course, you want a terrific coach. I mean, you want the best guy you can get, but you also want a guy who wants to be at your place for the right reasons. And why would Kevin O'Sullivan leave Florida to come to South Carolina? Is it a good enough reason because of the family dynamics? Is that the only reason? I mean, certainly it's not. It can't be for the money. It can't be now for the facilities. It could be because of South Carolina does average more in attendance than Florida does. It's a bigger deal in our state, college baseball, than it is in Florida, despite the fact that Florida wins a lot and wins regularly. It's a bigger deal in our state overall, I think. You got to hire a coach for the right reasons to have him there, besides the fact that he obviously is a very successful coach. South Carolina has had a history of hiring coaches after they've done great things somewhere else, and then they come to South Carolina and it doesn't always work out. You think back to Paul Dietzel in 1966 after he'd won the national championship at LSU. He's one of the hottest coaches going. He came to South Carolina and he flamed out. They picked up Lou Holtz on the back end of his career. He had a couple of nice seasons. Picked up Steve Spurrier on the back end of his career, and he gave them 10-plus good years, and 3 in particular that were phenomenal. But you got to think about the long term. And the good thing is Sullivan's not so old that if he were to come to South Carolina, he wouldn't be there for a long time, if that's indeed where he wants to plant his flag to finish his career. So after saying all that, I don't know what's going to happen.
Since I got a bottle of cold water here, I'm gonna wax, not nostalgic, but
what's cold water got to do with it?
I'm going to get ready to pour cold water on everything you just talked about.
Oh, okay.
Because before the coaching search even happened, I said Ray is the kind of guy that would wait after the World Series, so his naming the baseball coach would be the only thing out there in college baseball. I don't think he wanted to compete against that. Plus, he was on the committee. So I didn't think the timing with the end of the World Series and his hiring had anything to do with any of the participants. That's the way I thought about it.
That's a good thought.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good thought. I give that thought some thought. Yeah. Hey, when we come back, we're going to tell you about another coach who has met with Tanner to discuss the job right here in Columbia. We'll give you details on that. We'll let you hear from Tanner. A little bit of Jake Bentley, got some Frank Martin for you, and a bunch more Monday edition of Sports Talk. Okay, welcome back. South Carolina Radio Network, 800-956-7266 here on a Monday edition. Just a moment, some comments from Ray Tanner. Yesterday, Tanner met with former Liberty head coach and USC assistant coach Jim Toman for about 2 hours at Founders Park to discuss the South Carolina opening. Those two don't need to really talk a whole heck of a lot. Toman, of course, came with Tanner from NC State. He played for Tanner at NC State, and they've been together a long, long time, and they've known each other for a long, long time. So there wasn't a whole lot that had to be uncovered between the two. And I'd always thought from the outset that when Tanner went through his list and you had your big list and then you had your other list, that Toman should be and would be on that other list. He left South Carolina to become the head coach at Liberty to get head coaching experience. And he did a terrific job at Liberty. Unfortunately for him, when he was in the Big South, he kept running up against a team called Coastal Carolina, which was extremely good during most of the time that he was at Liberty. But he did average about 37 wins per season, 297 wins at a place that, you break it down, a hard place to recruit to when you consider cold weather, the religious limitations regarding your recruiting, just a tough place to recruit to. Came within one run of throwing a monkey wrench into Coastal Carolina's run to a national championship in 2016, remember. They lost 1-0 in the Big South Championship game in Lexington to Coastal Carolina. They win that game, they go to the NCAA tournament. Was at South Carolina as an assistant 97 through 2007, then at Liberty from 2008 through 2016. Won the Big South North Division in 2014. Won the Big South Tournament in 2013. That reminds me that was the year he played in Columbia and beat Clemson twice in the NCAA Regional. Remember that? And played South Carolina for the regional championship. I'm just saying all this because he's as good as anybody else on the B list. If you want to have an A list and a B list, he's probably as good as anybody else. He recruited many of the players that went on to win national championships for South Carolina. Of course, he was there for the 3-year run to Omaha in the early 2000s and then helped put together those teams that won national championships. I don't think recruiting is anything you'd have to worry about with him. He would be a hit with the fans, I think. Now, does he bring in the big name nationally and the big salary nationally? No, he's not going to be that kind of guy. But it goes back to what I was saying earlier. When you hire a head coach, why does that coach want to be your head coach? Does he want to be at your place because he's looking for a big payday or to continue his big paydays? Does he have some other reason for being there other than the fact that he wants to be the head coach at the University of South Carolina, represent the Gamecock baseball program? Does he have any sweat equity in that program? And this is one guy that does. When you think about the ones who are out there, this is the one guy who has sweat equity in Founders Park and in that program. So he and Tanner met for a couple of hours on Sunday. And as far as you call it a formal interview or not, I don't know that you really call it a formal interview because these two don't need to be introduced to one another. So you got to keep kind of keep an eye out on that as things develop here moving forward. Here is what Tanner had to say last night at the George Rogers Foundation auction. And Channel 10 caught up with him and got a mic in front of him and a camera in front of him and basically asked how the search is going and when will a new coach be hired.
I believe very strongly that our job here is probably a top 3 or top 5 job in the country. So we've attracted a lot of really good candidates, and I think there are a lot of people that would be really good fits. So we're narrowing down the search and hope to name a coach in the next few days. Well, it was a short list from the very beginning, so it remains a short list. And in the next few days, as you mentioned, July 4th, so we'll go with your date right now. But we'll name a coach in the near future.
In the near future. So next few days, in the near future. Do you think it'll be done this week? I think it'll be done this week. I mean, if it's Sullivan, it'll be quick. Unless Florida comes back with something, unless they get into kind of a bidding war, a tug of war, whatever the case may be, I think soon after the World Series is done, he'll know if Sully's in play or not for him.
That's if they go to the maximum of Florida or LSU sweeps. But I would think he would like to announce it either Thursday or Friday before July 4th. I would think he would like to do that. If not, I think he waits after the holiday.
Yeah. That's fine with me. I'm gone Thursday, Friday through the weekend, so maybe he'll do it just despite me when I'm out of town, which will be fine. We have quality people here, like yourself,
when is Corn
like
Blue
Jar Mart.
going out of town?
Yeah.
That's when we'll
check his calendar. We'll stick it to him. All right, so that is the latest on that. Let's jump to a quick phone call. If you'd like to join us, 800-956-7266. Did you say what I thought you said? My goodness, I thought he was dead, but he's not. He is alive and well as we welcome in to Sports Talk, the de facto mayor of the city of Charleston, the bad boy by the bay, the pontiff of the port city, the ninja of the night, the queen of the cowboy crybabies. And right now, I announce the next head coach in baseball at South Carolina. It's not Jim Rome. He's got a great gig. It's J-Rome.
Yeah.
How you like that? How you like being the baseball coach at South Carolina? You can handle that.
I don't think so.
Why not? Why couldn't you do it?
I don't think so, man. That's too big of a job for me.
Oh, what's a job more suited for you?
Hey, calling talk shows and aggravating talk shows.
Well, you never aggravate us. Are you aggravating people in Charleston still?
You haven't been listening to the local station, have you?
I don't listen to other sports talk.
Oh, excuse me.
The only sports talk show I listen to is this one when I replay it.
Wow.
Hey, you listen to that guy Cowherd who said that Clemson was a joke. I wonder if he's still laughing about him now.
I don't know. I think people are laughing at him, not with him.
Yeah. He's overrated too. He just made the overrated list along with Jim Rome. The guy who got beat up by Jim Everett.
That's your namesake. That's who we play your name on. You can't be attacking him.
Yeah, but Jim Everett never beat me up though, because I didn't call him. I would never do that.
That's right. You show too much respect for people.
Yes, I have class and dignity. Hey, speaking of class and dignity, can you please tell me how Tim Tebow gets promoted, hitting a robust 228 at
I just talked about that.
We were just talking about that off air.
Our ticket sales are down here. Notice that they're packing the place in Columbia, and everywhere they go in the Saturday League on the road, we need some ticket sales down here.
222, 3 home runs, 23 RBIs in 63 games.
And he's batting 1,000 with the autograph seekers.
I mean, you're probably right. And obviously that's something that's been discussed for a couple of weeks about what to do with him because he's such a crowd favorite and the souvenir sales skyrocket when he's in town. How long were they going to leave him in Columbia? How long before they promoted him up? But I mean, the stats don't say that's unless, of course, they look at other things besides the stats in the minor leagues.
You look at the wrong stats. Look at the attendance stats.
Yeah.
That's what they're looking at.
And the cash figures in the souvenir stands. And yes, I hear you. All right. Thank you, Jerome. Always good to know that you are still kicking, and we'll be right back. Well, there's nothing like starting off the week with a call from J. Rome. You know, he just sort of puts everybody in a pleasant mood, don't you think?
But kickoff must be only about 2 months away. Then.
1 month from tomorrow, you know what they'll be doing over at USC? They'll be practicing. 800-956-7266 is our phone number. Email talkback at sportstalksc.com. On Twitter at SportsTalkSC. New poll question for this week on our website. We gave you 2 weeks of the other poll question, which was, who do you think is going to be the new baseball coach at South Carolina, blah, blah, blah. Now I've narrowed it since everybody's talking like this, and the question is the likelihood of Ray Tanner hiring Kevin O'Sullivan by percentage. 100%, 75%, 50%, 0%. It kind of dropped off after 50.
And zero's leading.
So what's your take? 100%, 75, 50, or Zippo?
Zippo.
Most people are saying Zippo. 47% who have voted say nada. 33% say it's 50-50. 75%, I'm sorry, 11% say it's 75%. Too many percentages here. And 8.27% say it's 100% certainty that Ray Tanner will hire him. We shall see. 800-956-7266. Who do you like in the series beginning tonight? Best 2 out of 3, Florida and LSU. Let me get – oh, by the way, I was corrected by my good friend Kev Cohen, Gator Boy, to those who know him well. This will be Sully's third championship appearance. I forgot he also lost to Virginia.
That is correct.
So he's lost to USC, he's lost to Virginia, and now he gets LSU. And I was looking for the pictures. I had them here in front of me a moment ago. The pictures are going to be a Singer starting for Florida, right-hander. And he's a regular starter for Florida. LSU is going with a starter who hasn't had many starts. He's been mostly a bullpen guy. He's also a right-hander. And give me a second here, and I'll pull it up. Doggone it, I thought I had it. You don't know off the top of your head, do you, Fred?
No, I sure don't.
Yeah, I had it in front of me. Now I've misplaced it. But anyway, it'll be a couple of right-handers going against one another. I think its last name is Reynolds. Does that sound right? I think it's Reynolds pitching tonight for LSU and Singer pitching tonight for Florida. Now, LSU, if I heard Maneri right, they'll have Poche ready to go tomorrow night in Game 2, which, you know, losing Game 1 is not the end of the world in the series because you come back with your stud in Game 2, you win that, and then you just lay it all on the line in Game 3. And that is what LSU is planning to do. Florida, they're going to go with, as I mentioned, Singer, and then either Dyson or Byrne, Tyler Dyson or Michael Byrne will start in Game 2. Then if there is a Game 3, it's possible Faedo could come back. It's on 3 days rests. And there's some thinking that they could bring him back if necessary for the national championship game. Kind of like, didn't Michael Roth make a bunch of appearances that year that South Carolina won it the second time? Didn't they use him quite a bit in that CWS to help nail down the championship? Remember, he kind of made his debut in 2010.
Yeah.
Kind of when he burst onto the scene, and then 2011. And go back and check on that. But
and of course, they lost the opening game of that series and went through the losers bracket. So it was sudden death every time they took the mound from then on in the College World Series. I was just thinking about that because I'm looking at Florida and LSU. Florida has tremendous pitching.
Hang on. It is Russell Reynolds pitching for LSU tonight. He's a right-hander, 1-1, 8.59 ERA. Against Brady Singer, 8-5, 3.18 ERA. So, yeah, LSU going with one of their not prime-time starters versus one of Florida's.
They're hoping to just get 4 or 5 innings out of them
so they can
get to their closer. But Here's what the pragmatic me thinks. The pragmatic me thinks that Florida has tremendous pitching, but LSU has a very aggressive and resourceful offense. I think LSU has too much offense for Florida.
Mm-hmm.
The superstitious me saying this is Sully's third time. What's the old saying? Third time's a charm.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, LSU has to go to the dance and lose, just like the San Francisco 49ers. Every time they went to the Super Bowl, they won it. But the last time they went, the odds were against them winning again, and they lost.
Back to the Sullivan USC deal. Let me ask you this question. How do you think the outcome of the championship series plays into this, if indeed he's thinking?
Zero.
You think, well, now let's think about it. Lose in another championship and leave without winning a championship. And you think, gosh, can I walk away from here not having won a championship, or win it and accomplish what you set out to accomplish? And you can say, yep, I can walk away from Florida, take care of things, head held high, because I did what we set out to do.
Either way, he can walk away, in my opinion. Either way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sure. Oh, sure. I'm just trying to, psychoanalyze this thing. All right.
It'll be big, because everybody thinks about the long-standing coach in Martin, who's never won it, but seems to be there every other year, versus Miami, that's been there and won it and had that long series of getting in the tournament, which was broken at 44?
Something.
So nobody,
like
when they say baseball in Florida, for years it was FSU and Miami. Florida wins one. Hey, Florida's now on the map, winning it to go with their track championship this year. So I'm just thinking that either way he can walk, but I don't think he walks. I don't think Florida lets him out of the city limits.
All right, Jake Bentley, USC quarterback. We shift gears to a little football. He was down in Louisiana, I think Hammond, Louisiana, for the Manning Passing Academy. Not so much for instruction, but to give instruction and to share some thoughts with other quality quarterbacks and share his ideas with youngsters. And he spoke with some of the media down there, including Josh Kendall from the state. And they had a little bit of a audio video clip of him on GoGamecocks.com. And with practice set to start 1 month from tomorrow, he was asked about the offense, and in particular, where he thinks they can improve. What is the one thing in his mind kind of stands out where he thinks he can help them improve the most this year?
For me, it's just really developing our protections. Trying to do all I can do to keep me upright. Obviously I trust the O-line to do it, but there's certain things where, that's not their assigned job to block a certain man, and, I fix it and help them out. And then just being more of a leader when things get tough. In the Florida game, especially I kind of felt it. We were kind of struggling on offense, and I feel like I just kind of sat there a little bit. I could have been more vocal up, being more positive. So just little things like that, and just getting better every day. Just really working in the weight room to be durable, to last whole season, and really working in the film room with Coach Roper and Coach Sims, and just really getting better.
What's this team capable of?
I think we're capable of anything. You ask Coach Muschamp, he'll say the same thing. Our goals are to beat the East and win the state. And that's what it is, every year. That's what it's always going to be. And I think we're definitely capable of that. We're just, keep working hard. Just keep doing what we're doing, and hopefully it'll pay off.
So you think playing in Atlanta is a realistic goal for this team?
And that's what we, it should be the goal for every SEC team. It's not just us. I feel like everywhere around the country that should be their goal, to play in their conference championship game. And right now, day-to-day goal is just get better. We'll worry about that when it comes, game by game is what we got to focus on, and just getting better. As long as we continue to just outwork everybody and just continue to just be the best, I think we got a chance.
And we'll be right back. Okay, back with you on Sports Talk Recruiting coming up here in just a moment. Still to come on this edition of Sports Talk. We're going to talk to John Newman III, newest basketball commitment for Clemson. That'll be in the next hour. Frank Martin will talk to all of you about the summer for Gamecock basketball and some of the important things going on around his program. Our good friend Jay Harper, our morning sports anchor here at South Carolina Radio Network, is going to join us in our final half hour to talk sports with us. In particular, some Citadel talk, as Brent Thompson, head football coach of the Bulldogs, is going to join us for a little special football conversation here in our final half hour tonight, so stay tuned for that. I think that's all good stuff, if you ask me. There's never a bad time to talk to one of our football coaches in our state, and we appreciate Coach Thompson coming on with us tonight. With that all said, let's do recruiting. Big week coming up. We got two big announcements. Tomorrow, running back Zamir White of Laurinburg, North Carolina, set to announce Clemson, Georgia, North Carolina, Alabama. Ohio State was in there too. Does not appear to be a factor. This has been a very, from a Clemson standpoint, a very interesting recruiting story. This is a guy that Clemson has made its number one recruiting target. They have put everybody else on hold. They've told other running back targets, we like you, we like this guy more, and we'll get back to you. They've put all their eggs into this basket for the most part in Zamir White. Now, he, by all accounts, is a special talent. Big. Remember, we talked about him a few weeks ago, comments from his coach. He was a premature baby born at about 2 pounds, and now he's a full-grown Herschel Walker-like man in the backfield. That's why everybody wants him. And Georgia, in particular, has made a very strong push for him. North Carolina of late, he's made a couple of visits to Chapel Hill. But Georgia, with its history of pulling running backs out of North Carolina and, of course, its lean towards the running game, most seem to think the Bulldogs have the edge. But then there's North Carolina closing quickly. And Clemson's just been – it's just been too quiet around Clemson about this guy. This is the kind of guy that Clemson gets when you don't expect it. You know, C.J. Spiller. Remember that? They got him when that wasn't expected. I think even James Davis, they got him back when it wasn't expected. I don't know. I'm not saying Clemson's going to get him. I'm just saying it's been way too quiet from the Clemson side of things about this guy. And so we'll see tomorrow what he's going to do. Now, Sunday, defensive end Stephon Wynn Jr. of Anderson and IMG Academy in Florida will announce his decision, USC, Georgia, and Alabama. He's a Clemson legacy, but the Tigers are not in the mix with him any longer. They were earlier, but not now. And he's not said anything about a favorite. There's been no real consensus. Some people think it's South Carolina. Some people think it's Georgia. Some people think it's Alabama. I don't know. We'll find out on Sunday when he announces. That's at 1 o'clock on Sunday. Running back Tay Pruvens of Gurley, Alabama, committed to LSU. USC was in his final 5. Running back Lynn J. Dixon of Butler, Georgia, committed to Tennessee. Clemson was on his short list. He's one of those running backs they told to hold on while they deal with this other guy. But he went ahead and committed to Tennessee. Tight end Zach Sheffer, Ponte Vedra, Florida, goes to Tebow's old high school. Even though Tebow didn't go to high school, he was homeschooled. But he goes to the high school where Tebow played. He committed to LSU. He had a USC offer. Offensive lineman Christian Armstrong of Warner Robins, Georgia, committed to Florida State. He had a USC offer. Athlete Kavoisi Smoke of Wetumpka, Alabama, has USC in his top 10, with Florida, North Carolina, Mississippi State, Illinois, Central Florida, Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, Florida Atlantic, and Kentucky. Now, USC has turned back up its interest in defensive back Israel Mukuyamu, who once went to Berkeley. He now lives in Bossier City, Louisiana. And the Gamecocks were one of the first to offer him. They kind of lost touch with him for whatever reason, kind of faded out of the picture with him, but now they're back in the picture with him. And he's now very interested in South Carolina, once again. He said he talks to Will Muschamp, did so a few days ago, and was told they really want him. He said Muschamp told him that he knows things kind of fell off since he moved to Louisiana, but he wants him to give them a shot. He said it means a lot to him because Muschamp reached out to him. The head man reached out to him, so he's really excited. USC is in his top 9, along with Florida State, Louisville, Ole Miss, Georgia State, Indiana, Purdue, Oklahoma State, and Florida. And he said if South Carolina continues to show its strong interest, then he'll take an official visit there. He does not have a leader yet, but he's thinking about other officials to Florida State and Oklahoma State. Defensive back Jabari Ellis out of Georgia Military. He's got his final 2 out. It's USC and NC State. He announces on July 4th. Little fireworks there over in the Lake Marion area. USC target defensive lineman Antoine Jackson headed to Blinn Junior College in Texas, according to J.C. Sherbert of the Big Spur. Of course, you know he's a transfer from Auburn. Running back Michael Salahuddin of Washington, D.C., committed to Southern Cal. USC was in his top 11, and he had Clemson interest as well. And it's possible that if Clemson, this is a guy they could go back in on, but hard to pull a guy. Well, maybe it's not hard to pull a guy away from Southern Cal. USC did it with Alshon Jeffrey back in the day. Basketball, 6'4" Kyler Edwards of Arlington, Texas, made an unofficial visit to Clemson on Friday. Said he loved it, loved the facilities, got to see the guys lift weights and work out. He also visited Georgia Tech while in the Southeast. His offers include Texas Tech, LSU, Iowa State, Georgia Tech, Kansas State, New Mexico, Nebraska, Georgetown, Oklahoma State, Southern Cal, Tulsa, and Rhode Island. The new Clemson assistant coach, Antonio Reynolds Dean, was an assistant at Rhode Island before being hired by Brad Brownell, so that's probably the connection. He averaged 23 points per game last season. 2019 6'11" DJ Burns of York Prep was offered by Auburn. Back to football. Clemson's going to get an official visit from defensive back Tyson Campbell out of Fort Lauderdale. He told Inside the U, that's on the 247 network, that Ohio State and Clemson will get 2 of his official visits when he gets around to setting those things up. Of course, Miami's involved, Florida State as well. But Clemson stands to get an official visit from him. And I think that covers things for now. Anybody got anything else they want to add, Pro?
No, I'm good.
Jarmart?
No recruiting from me today.
That's too bad. One day it will all be yours.
Well, Zamir White,
Zeus. They call him Zeus.
Yeah, is he?
He's big and he's fast.
Is this a case of how you recruited Lattimore? Coach, you know, I look at you at Clemson. Y'all throw the ball a lot. Y'all don't run the ball. We'll run it if we get you.
Yeah, but Georgia runs it. That is the fact.
And then they're selling you that Chubb and Michelle are gone.
Correct.
The next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, yeah. There's plenty of room at the end. Of
course, Alabama runs it a lot too, but they don't seem to be quite as high up. It looks like, I don't know about Clemson in this thing. It's just been way too quiet. I mean, I might be making nothing out of nothing here, but it's just way too quiet. For a big time prospect like this, we're talking about in the running game, one of those difference makers, a guy that immediately comes in and turns your running game around. And Clemson's not looking. We'll wait and see what happens. But you know, you look at their running backs right now. They got some people that got to prove some things. Tavian Feaster, Adam Choi, C.J. Fuller. I mean, they might turn out to have great years as a group or maybe 1 or 2 individually, but they still have a lot to prove from that standpoint. And then there's a bit of a drop-off when those guys leave. Okay, we'll be back. Top of the hour break. All right, here we go. Let's see. I did that. I think I did that. Trying to remember what I did this morning. What did I do this morning? I think I led with that, and then I did that. All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Coming down in 3. Shoot, did I mention Mukiyamu this morning? Damn it. I'm not sure. I think I'm saying it right. I've said that thing so many different ways. I don't know if this was.
Day for Clemson football. On the field, the Tigers played their spring game in front of an announced crowd of 60,000.
That's not the right one. So I wonder if it's the last one that I put in here.
.65 Wright State grad transfer Mark Allstork wrapped up his official.
Shit. Why doesn't it put it? Do they go this way? It would still be. Why are things so difficult? Date modify. Okay, 620. That wouldn't be it. 619 would have been last night. 615.
stop now. More sports talk is on its way. Listen to the final word in sports all across the state with your host, Phil Kornblut.
Okay, we're back at Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, Monday edition. Columbia, all across the state of South Carolina. Glad you're with us. Phil Kornblut, the professor. Tom Hayes, 800-956-7266 is our phone number. More of your calls coming up a little bit later on. Some comments from USC basketball coach Frank Martin. Today, the SEC had its summer basketball conference call. All the coaches hopped on for a few minutes to talk about their teams. We'll hear from him in a little bit. But right now, we turn our attention to Clemson basketball because on Friday, the Tigers picked up a terrific commitment in 6'5" John Newman III out of Greensboro, and he joins us here on Sports Talk. John, how are you? We're doing terrific, man. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, before we get into Clemson and all that, give us a little background on your basketball family history, because you've got some people who've played basketball at a high level that no doubt you've leaned on over the years.
Yep. My dad, I think this gets like confused a lot of times. My dad played basketball at James Madison University. He played high school ball at Page with Danny Manning, and they were like the number 2 team in the country. And then he went on to play basketball at James Madison. I have a cousin that played in the NBA named Johnny Newman, and that's who oftentimes people get confused as my dad, but that's all good. So yeah, that's really my family history with this whole basketball thing. It's deep rooted in, so that's why I'm so passionate about it.
Absolutely. That's good, man. That's good to have your dad and a cousin, playing at that level, and no doubt it trickled down to you. I hear nothing but good things about you. But let's talk about Clemson. You went there for an official visit last week. Got a chance to meet with the staff and see everything. And what won you over to the Tigers?
Really, it was just like, something special about, just being on Clemson campus. I know people probably say that a lot. You can ask a lot of people from Clemson. It's just different. I don't really know how to describe it. And I met people other than like athletes and things like that. And people are just so genuine. Like, they wanted to get to know me as a person and like about my life. Because I think oftentimes whenever kids go to a school, they want to, like, the people want to just learn about them as an athlete. Like, what have they done? Have you done this? Do you know this guy, that guy? But the people that I met on Clemson's campus, it was just like, they just want to know about me, and that's just special. The facilities are crazy, honestly. Like, they have so much to do all in one building, so that's really good. Coach Bender and I, we built a great relationship over the past like year and a half. So we had a relationship when he was at College of Charleston. So then when he got the job back at Clemson, I think I knew that we kind of had a connection. So we kind of just went from there. I have a great relationship with their staff now. What else? It was just really, I just went with my gut feeling. It was just like I just felt like that's where I needed to be. I fit in perfectly, I think, with the guys, and I think we're going to do something special.
That's terrific. How do your talents fit in with the kind of basketball that Coach Brownell likes to play?
Yeah, I think right now, Coach Brownell has told me that they're missing like a elite wing defender. And I think that's one of the things that I can, be really strong at Clemson. They just want to like utilize my offensive ability and my defensive ability, like long, athletic. Just use that on defense. Quick feet. I got that. So just using that, my defense is to help the team, and my offense. They want me to be more aggressive on offense because they think I'm kind of passive. But I'm working on that with my high school team this year. So really just utilizing my versatility and just, making the team better.
Well, I mean, there's one thing about being passive on offense. There's another thing about being a team player and distributing the ball and giving up a good shot for a better shot somewhere else. Would you say you're more along those lines?
Yeah. I'm more of a team player.
Yeah.
But and they said that's cool with them.
Yeah.
But they just want to see me be more aggressive and kind of cut loose a little bit. So I'm working on it.
Well, tell us about your defensive talents. What makes you stand out there? What defensive instincts do you bring to the floor?
Really, I think defense is more effort than anything. I think guys just want to look at all the flashy things in basketball. They want to do they want to shoot all the balls they can. But at the end of the day, you're gonna come down to someone I guess like myself, who like wants to get stops and takes pride in that. So I think defense is really effort and like how tenacious are you to get stops and just really get after it on that end of the floor. I don't think guys really like take pride in doing that.
Yeah.
So that's just the player.
Well, I mean, you have to know the quickest way to the court under Brad Brownell is showing a love for defense.
Right.
And you got that.
Oh yeah, I definitely have that. My high school coach Smith, he does a really good job of making sure we're all ready on defense because he honestly says the same thing. Like, hey, Greensboro, there you cannot get on the court if you can't keep your man in front of you. So I kind of like got used to that early. So I think it will translate well to college.
You had Wake Forest, you had Virginia, you had Providence on your short lists. All good programs, especially when you talk about Wake Forest up and coming, where Danny Manning is the head coach, and of course Virginia established. And in particular, was it tough telling Danny Manning no, considering the relationship between him and your dad?
Yeah, it was definitely tough. But I just had to look past that kind of and just do what I thought was best for me at the time. And I think Clemson is a place where I can make strides as a player. And I think they're going to develop me well. Coach Smith does a really good job at developing my position. And so I just feel like, Clemson was the right place for me. I couldn't really look at different relationships that people had with other people. So I just had to do what's best for me.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're looking at your list. How important, or was it important at all, that you get a shot to play in the ACC?
Oh, it's really important. I mean, being in Greensboro, I grew up in the ACC country, really. So I'm right in the core of it. So it's really close to my heart. I grew up, going to all the women's ACC tournaments, men's ACC tournaments, just seeing all these big players and how successful they've been on and off the court. I follow a lot of guys on Twitter and Instagram, keep up with guys from the past that I used to watch growing up, and just seeing how they're doing now. And I think, where they play college ball at kind of has something to do with the success they have after basketball. So, but ACC it's the best conference in the country. So just getting to play against great talent, night in, night out, challenging yourself, and just doing something special. It's just really good.
Talking with John Newman III, who is a Clemson commitment. Now, you told me last week after you committed that your plan is to sign early, but just scholarship papers, not letter of intent. What's your thinking about doing it that way?
Right. About that, I think I just have to do what's best for me. I'm 1,000% committed to the Tigers, but so you're not always sure of what can happen. So right now, that's just on my mind. That's how I feel.
And this summer, as you get ready for your senior season, what kind of things are you doing camp-wise or anything like that to work on your game, and what is your focus on? I guess, as you talked earlier, it's mostly on the offensive side?
Yeah, it's mostly on the offensive side. I think I have really pretty good defensive instincts, making reads and because a lot of people think reads are just on offense, but a lot of defense is reads too, like being in the right position, doing your work early so you don't have to, being ready so you don't have to get ready is the whole thing on defense. But most of the things I'm working on my offensive game, it's just my three ball has gotten a lot better in the past year. So just continuing to improve that, get my confidence right. So I am confident to shoot in the game, and I have shot a lot more than I did last year. And just attacking off the ball screens, learning how to work the ball screens, working on tightening my handle, making my moves more crisp. Just working on being more explosive, making my moves more explosive so they'll be more effective. Those are like some of the main things I'm working on.
Are we correct listing you at 6'5"?
Yes.
That is correct. Okay, great. Hey, man, listen, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations once again. Have a great summer and a terrific upcoming season. We'll keep in touch, and then we look forward to seeing you at Clemson.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's John Newman III. You look at Clemson's roster, they've got 3 seniors coming up this year, DeVoe, Grantham, and the transfer Donnell. They've got 5 juniors, Scara, Reed, Mitchell. Now make that 4 juniors. Didn't Legend leave us?
Yes.
Legend's gone. This should be 4 seniors with Thomas in there.
He's
and then the freshman.
He's a myth now.
Yeah. And then the freshmen, Spencer, Oliver, William, Sims, and Trapp Jr. Back in a moment. All right, thanks again to John Newman III. If he plays as well as he talks, he's going to be a terrific player for the Tigers. You like that when you can find a young man who can put sentences together and tell you what he thinks. And, very interesting, too, again, the thought there, this probably comes from the fact that he comes from a family that has had college athletes, not going to sign an LOI, going to sign scholarship papers just in case something bad happens for Clemson this year with Brad Brownell. He won't be tied into Clemson. He'll be free to go anywhere else without any penalty. Correction time. I'm correcting my correction.
Okay.
Hate when that happens. I should have stuck with what I knew, but I trusted somebody who led me astray.
Well, did he?
This is only Sully's second national championship appearance, not his third.
But it's the school's third. Bite at the apple.
It is the school's. This is going back. It was
2005.
All right, South Carolina beat Florida 2011.
Yes.
That was under Sully.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. And then Florida played in it again in 2005 and lost to Texas.
But Sullivan wasn't high. Sullivan wasn't high.
That's right. Sullivan was not. Who was the coach then? That would have been who? I don't know. Sullivan was not the coach then. So this would be his second appearance and Florida's third, because we know in the national championship, we know Florida's never won the national championship. Do you realize, I forgot about this, South Carolina played for the national championship back in 1975, lost to Texas, Cliff Gustafson. Texas was 59-6 that year when they beat the Gamecocks. Then the Gamecocks played for it again. Arizona State with Jim Brock lost that game 2-1. Lost to Arizona State 2-1. And then they lost that game to Texas 5-1. The Gamecocks had a chance for a couple of national championships way back then. Then, of course, they had to wait until 2002. They played Texas again, got beat 12-6. I think, wasn't that the last year before they went to the championship series format? Didn't they change it the next year? That Texas team was loaded. I remember they had Hudson Street on that team. And he came in and pretty much slammed the door on the Gamecocks that particular time.
You're talking about those years, Arizona State, you're looking at Rick Mundy, Bump Wills.
Oh, yeah.
Reggie Jackson played there.
Bob Horner was on that team, I believe. Now, the Gamecocks didn't face Reggie Jackson.
No, he didn't. No, that was before then.
But anyway, just going back to the original point, this is the second national championship appearance for Sullivan. Thanks to former talk show host Lane Wofford for that information. He's a guy always out there searching for the facts and correcting us when we make a mistake. And I should have stuck with what I knew to begin with. Wouldn't have this discussion going on. So that leads us to Frank Martin. I don't know how, but it does. I'll tell you how. We're talking about Florida. He grew up in Florida.
Miami.
Yeah, there's the connection. Today, SEC coaches had their summer conference call to talk about their teams, where they are and where they are headed. Frank Martin, in his portion of the conference call, of course, getting a little more attention, coming off a Final Four run. So everybody looks at USC basketball and Frank Martin a little differently now. And he was asked about the importance of this summer for the South Carolina team coming off their run of last year and how they kind of build on that.
I think it's very important for us to give the smaller schools in the state the opportunity to play in South Carolina in our building and give them a check to help them fund their programs. It's something that's very much needed for them to upgrade their programs, and it builds basketball within our state. And what was the second part of your question, Ron?
You pretty much answered it. What you get out of it?
Then you play a game against kids that maybe, they were dreaming of playing here and just unfortunately weren't quite good enough academically or physically. Number two, it's something that they're well-coached teams. Our state does not get credit for the kind of coaches we have in the state. So you bring a team in your building that challenges your team because they all wish they could play there. So it gives them the opportunity to play in our building. So it challenges your team, and it helps the coaches in our state in recruiting and things of that nature.
I was curious, what your thoughts on the one and done rule are. I know you've had, some guys like that, during your time. And do you think it's worked, and would you like to see it changed at all?
I've never been in favor of the one and done. It's not an NCAA rule. It's an NBA rule. I believe if kids want at 16 years of age, they don't want to pursue academic routes. They want to just go play for money. They should. I don't believe that anyone should ever deprive anyone the opportunity to work. That's number one. Number two, no one forces kids to go to college. I'm tired of everyone saying that we're the ones that are making it hard. We don't force. The rule does not force kids to go to college. They can go to the D League. They can go overseas. They can go to prep school. They can go to junior college. No one forces them to come to Division I institutions. Now, I think the way it works is it should be the way it works in every other professional sports. That's just my opinion. If they choose to go, like in baseball. If they choose to go to college, well, like baseball, like women's basketball, like football, they should then, out of respect to what college athletics are all about, they should have to stay out of the draft for 3 years. I don't see why it works in every sport, but in our sport, it's such a complicated thing to understand.
Frank, I wonder, having a Final Four validation now, how has that impacted how South Carolina is received in the recruiting circles?
Yeah, I mean, Jared, anytime you have the opportunity to play on that platform, it opens up doors. It has more people speaking about you. It validates that you can win at South Carolina. It doesn't necessarily make recruiting easier. What I've tried to explain to people is that our recruiting pool got bigger. We still have to do our due diligence and find the right guys and build the relationships so they're the kind of guys that fit into how we do things, and it's important that we maintain that. We don't want to take because of our success this past year somebody that's real talented that doesn't fit here. That's still not. It's not going to work regardless of talent. But the pool that we're recruiting from just got bigger. We just have to, we have more opportunities to meet with more people and get in deeper conversations with more young men.
All right, Frank Martin, the first part of that was talking about scheduling in-state schools and the benefit of that for all concerned, spreading the money around to the schools in the state, giving them a chance to come in and play in the big arena and stuff like that. Gamecock basketball for this coming season, going to be interesting to watch because, number one, they're now a more highly elevated program coming off a Final Four. You make a Final Four, people expect you to do it again. And number two, I mean, it's almost a completely flipped roster. Frank Booker is new. Corey Holden will be new. Jason Cudd, Ibrahim Doumbia, Felipe Haas, David Beatty, and Justin Minaya will all be new. So there's more newcomers than there are veterans.
But you got the two studs up front, and you got two guards that played last year, and a transfer who had to sit out last year who should know the system. So you don't start completely from square one. So you got those veterans coming back that'll help you.
All right, going to hit the break. Our good friend Jay Harper going to join us here on the other side. Going to talk to Brent Thompson. A little Citadel football coming your way as well. We'll be right back here on Sports Talk. Okay, we're back. Sports Talk South Carolina Radio Network. Good to have you with us here on this Monday night. Going to welcome in Citadel football coach Brent Thompson in just a moment, but joining us here in our studios is Jay Harper, who is a member of our News Network sports staff, and he handles our morning sportscast, actually lives down the Charleston area, covers the Bulldogs, but has dropped in to visit with us here.
That's right.
This
but
afternoon.
we're going to have to kind of make this short, Phil, because I got to get up in about 4 hours. So
better you than me. In fact,
Tom knows all about the earlier rising. Believe me.
We'll get to you in a minute, but let's welcome in Coach Thompson, somebody you're very familiar with, covering the Citadel Bulldogs, and he's been nice enough to grace us with his presence again here on Sports Talk for a couple of minutes as we're in the heat of summer, Coach. But it's not too long before you'll be pulling out the old whistles again and getting started.
Hey, Phil, good to hear from you, Jay. Yeah, it's been a great summer, but the summers keep on getting busier and busier. And right now, as you say it's starting to squeeze down on me just a little bit. I don't know if I have enough time to get ready or not, but it's going to get on us pretty quickly here.
So when do you guys actually kick off your camp?
We're going to start. We report August the 2nd, which is a little bit later than what we're allowed to, because the NCAA has eliminated the two-a-days. They let you get about a week before that. But we're going to just take a couple extra days and get ourselves ready. Camp is already long enough. And I figured about a month out, we start September the 2nd. So I figured about a month out was about good for us. And we'll still have plenty of opportunities. I don't want to kill our guys, and still get enough time to be able to prepare our guys for the first game on September the 2nd.
And how would you say your off-season summer program has been going so far?
Well, we reported with our freshmen last Sunday, so about a week ago Sunday, and it was we've got a great freshman class here. It's 23, so we replaced a lot of good football players from the past few years. So we'll be a little bit of a younger football squad, but I like our athleticism, I like our tenacity, and I like the way that our guys have been working. Combine that with about 62, 63 upperclassmen that are already on campus, and I think we've got a pretty good unit, but we're going to build a bond over the summertime that's going to help us out throughout the year.
Hey, Brent, Jay Harper here, man. Thanks so much for checking in with us. Good to chat with you. Real quick, here last year and even the year prior, I mean, at the B-back position, you guys were just, exploding with talent. You've had some issues with some injuries and some graduations and so forth. How are you shaping up at the B-back position come this season?
Well, I like our prospects there right now, as we are still going to be very young at B-back no matter what we do. And at one time we were going to be very old there, and unfortunately we lost a pretty good one in Tyler Renew.
Yeah.
But due to unforeseen circumstances, we lost a couple of older guys there. But we're going to have to rebuild there, and that's a primary key position for us. But we've spent the off season trying to figure out ways to bolster that position. We've recruited enough good B-backs, and there are guys that we think could be good B-backs. And that one time Tyler Renew was a redshirt freshman, and one time Isaiah Smith was a freshman, and we played with those guys, and I think we'll be okay in the long run. But we've also figured out ways that we may have to get the ball in different guys' hands and kind of tweak our offense just so the D-back takes a little bit of pressure off of them. But we still got solid guys around them. We've got Dominique Allen, we've got Cam Jackson, we've got pretty good wideouts that I feel really confident in, which is something to be said for our offense, and having good wide receivers. I think that could help us out a lot.
Yeah, I was going to mention Dom Allen, Cam Jackson. I mean, they're seniors this year. Jordan Black at quarterback last year was thrust into the spotlight when Dom was down there for a while, right at the beginning of the season, and got the Bulldog season off on a great start, on the road, no less, not too far from his home there at Mercer, Jordan Black. Do you see Black being able to be a part of the offense again this year, or is it merely a case of if Dom goes down, then Jordan goes in? Do you have that figured out just yet?
I do, is that when I went back and I watched all the reps that Jordan took throughout the year, the ETSU game, the Mercer game, the Furman game, the Cardinal Webb game, when you look at it in its entirety, you say, man, I mean, he's a great football player. We need to play him more, and for the future of our football program, he still has 3 years left, including this year. So we need to play him some. So, I told Luke out there, our offensive coordinator, said, let's make it a point to try to play him, a couple of series a game. maybe one or two in the first half and then one or two in the second half. Give Dom a break, give Dom time to kind of settle and see what's going on, because we're not going to lose anything with him in there. He throws extremely well. He's quick-footed. He knows the offense by now. So I think it's one of those things, Jay, where you're right on, where I think we need to incorporate him more, if not only for the future, but really to give Dom a little bit of a break.
Talking with Brent Thompson, head coach of the Citadel Bulldogs. So how's it feel preparing for this season, preseason, top 25 rankings? Street and Smith, for example, has got you at number 12. I mean, you're going to be all in that area going in. Excitement level, I gotta think, is as high as it's been, for many, many years. Well, I know it's built over the last few years, but I mean, it keeps getting bigger with you guys. So, I mean, how does it feel to be riding that horse right now?
Jay, it feels great to just be recognized for the program that we've become more than anything else. Is we were, barely even thought about a couple of years ago, not even thought about it at all within our own conference. And I think it's a testament to our players and our football program and our coaches as to where, how far we've really come now. Are we deserving of that top 12? Probably not. We're going to be a young ball club, but yet I learned 2 years ago not to count the Citadel football player out at all. I think we can do it. And I feel good about the guys that we've recruited, and I feel good about the guys that we've redshirted, even though they may not be as experienced as the guy that we've graduated. But I still feel very confident about what we can do this year and make an impact in the Southern Conference.
Well, we certainly wish you a terrific rest of the summer. What little bit you've got left, enjoy some vacation. Of course, when you're in Charleston, I mean, I know how you Charlestonians think. You don't think any place else on earth is better for vacationing than Charleston. What do you do? Just go across the bridge there and hang out at Sullivan's Island? What do you do for vacation?
Well, I had some of my my northern buddies come down, and they asked me what I do in the summertime. I said, well, I can do a lot of different things. I can go downtown. I can go to the farmers market. I can go to Second Sunday. I can travel 8 miles to Folly Beach. I can go over to the Citadel Beach House. I don't have to get too far away. In fact, here in about the middle part of July, I'm going to go spend a week out at Kiowa, which is 45 minutes away. So I've got the best of everything right here. I can still keep an eye on things going on at the Citadel, but yet I can still hang out at the beach, which is phenomenal.
Not bad. Not bad. Enjoy yourself. We'll see you soon at the golf outing and then our preseason stop, and we'll talk more Citadel football with you.
Thanks, Jay. Look forward to it, and look forward to seeing you fill out the golf tournament.
You got it, sir. We thank you. Brent Thompson, head football coach at the Citadel, and you're pretty close to those guys. You do broadcasting with the Bulldog Network down there, and you've been able to watch that program grow over the last few years.
Yeah, it has been amazing. Of course, Mike Houston a couple of years ago really, kick-started the program, but, Brent Thompson was offensive coordinator under Mike. So it was a seamless transition when Coach Houston went up to James Madison and then
proved himself by going and winning the national championship.
Subsequently winning a national championship. Yeah. So, Brent's got a great pedigree, of course, and, so enthusiastic. I mean, he's just really he really does have that type of enthusiasm that the kids feed off of, you know? So it's been fun to watch the transformation.
And, living in Charleston like you do, it's hard to get the attention of the sports fan down there. You've got to be special to get the sports fan in Charleston off their butt and into a seat.
Yeah, I tell you, that Citadel constituency, if you will, the Citadel fan is, is a little more rabid than many. Now, sure, they like to win as much as anybody. And of course, the Johnson Haygood has been filling up more in the last couple of years because, winning will do that.
Yeah.
But it has been just a real treat to see the alumni fired up again about their football program.
And how's the restoration of the side of the stadium is falling down?
Yeah, they are. Well, heck, it's not there anymore. It fell down all right. They actually absolutely demolished it. But that's coming along. They'll hope to have some grandstands at least in place in time for the season to take place. Temporary stands.
We will continue here. Jay Harper visiting with us. 800-956-7266. They are scoreless. LSU and Florida. They're in the bottom of the second in Omaha. Back in a moment.
We out.
Thanks again to Coach Thompson for being with us. Citadel priming for another big year down there in Charleston. Appreciate him joining us tonight. Jay Harper in studio with us for a few more minutes. So what's your we've been talking about South Carolina baseball job. What's your thoughts on, of course, you just went through a turnover at the Citadel.
That's right.
Seems like they got a really good guy in Tony Skoll.
Yeah, I tell you, again, talking about the excitement of alumni over various things happening in the sports world at the Citadel. And yes, the coming home, if you will, of Tony Skoll, who's Citadel Hall of Famer, 1990 graduate, a hero from the World Series run that the Dogs made back in 1990, and also a star football player. So yeah, they didn't take long. The Citadel Gym Center and crew and the committee, Lieutenant or General Rosa, they pretty much got down to business and just interviewed, as I understand it, 3 guys, and a big push to keep it in the family, as it were. So I think Tony Skoll, with his 20 some odd years of experience, and now the winningest coach, active coach in the Southern Conference, he knows the conference, knows the program. So there's a lot of excitement there. Absolutely.
We talked with him about this, and you being near the Citadel, I mean, the school's got to be busting with pride over the baseball coaches it has produced in recent years. When you go back to Chalport, and that led to Freddie Jordan being the head coach, now Tony, and then you got the coach at Louisville, you got the coach at Indiana,
Dan McDonnell, and
Chris Lemonis. I mean, all
Lemonis
coming from that Chalport era.
Yeah, and it's somewhat of the continuing the Fred Jordan legacy as well. And as you may have alluded to earlier today, not sure the retiring of Fred Jordan's number took place over at Joe Riley Park. So the number 26 jersey,
how about that,
has joined Larry Doby's jersey on the wall, on the outfield wall there.
Was that what I saw over the weekend at dinner and all that?
He
they retired his
had
jersey.
A retirement party and gave him the honor of being the second jersey up alongside the legendary Larry Doby up on the fence there at Joe Riley Park. So yeah, a neat honor for Coach Jordan.
Absolutely. What do you think is going to happen in Columbia? What's your bet on where Ray Tanner is going to head?
Man, I tell you, my gut tells me that he's probably going to find a new hot up-and-coming assistant somewhere. I know that there are those that say, well, Chad Holbrook, when we went the assistant route with Chad, who had been with the program and was familiar with the program, that didn't turn out as all had hoped. But the SEC has got some great young coaches, assistant coaches, as well as the ACC. I would be surprised if we do see somebody come out of there that has some familiarity, at least with the southeastern United States.
Yeah. So you're not thinking O'Sullivan like most of the rest of the world's thinking?
Well, I mean, I guess it kind of depends on what maybe transpires here in this World Series with LSU. Who knows? I guess we'll find out.
Well, Kentucky hired an assistant coach and did extremely well.
Mississippi State
this year. Mississippi State did the same. I don't know what that's what Ray is thinking. This to me has, I don't know, it feels similar to the football search to me, in that I remember seeing Ray during the football season and not the football season, but during the basketball season. Well, let me think about this for a second. Muschamp was hired in December. So I guess it was in that part after the season ended, November into early December. You see him at basketball games. My point is, he seemed very loose and didn't look like a coach who was under the stress of a search. And it was my thinking that he knew then who he was going to get. And it turned out to be, at the time, in my information and opinion, was Tom Herman. He was all set to get Tom Herman, and that deal was going to get done. And then after the Citadel beat South Carolina, Herman did a backflip on him and said, no, I'm not coming. Yeah. And so that put him back on the streets looking at other people. And that's my feeling. That's my own opinion and information. Here, he was at the George Rogers thing last night, saw the video, he looked very happy and calm, like, hey, I got my guy. Just a matter of a few days, got my guy.
Yeah.
And the only guy who's still coaching that he could be dealing with is O'Sullivan.
And of course, I throw all cold water on it because
Yes, you do. You keep doing that.
I think Ray pays homage to the College World Series. Let it get over with.
If he says that in the press conference, if it's not O'Sullivan and somebody says, "Why did you wait until after the CWS?" and he says that he was doing that out of respect for the CWS and da-da-da, I will give you $1.
Hey, big spender.
I won't hold my breath.
As a matter of fact, I owe K-Mac $1. I got to go chase him down and pay him back.
Yeah, but
before he charges me interest.
I just think that Ray is the type of guy who he's oblivious to the press. You know, they said that, oh, he's let so-and-so pass him. When is he going to hire a football coach? Ray could care less. I mean, he's working on his timetable, and he looks like the kind of guy who loves the search.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he kind of enjoys this. But whoever they hire, it'll be interesting because I think if they hire a young up-and-comer, the difference between another up-and-comer and Chad Holbrook is he made the mistake of following the legend and not being the guy who followed the guy.
Well, I'll say this.
Exactly.
I'll say this. You know, there's the dream list, you know, which is made up of your 5 millionaire coaches out there in college baseball, you know, and it looks like O'Sullivan's the only one on that list that is now still actively possible. And then you've got your more likely, well, I shouldn't say more likely. Hell, it could be O'Sullivan. But then you've got your next list of your lower tier, lesser paid guys who've done a few nice things. But over a 5-year period, Holbrook's resume outshines any of those guys. He averaged 40 wins a year over 5 years.
Bingo.
He went to 3 regionals, 2 super regionals. You know the deal. But the fact that he missed 2 of the last 3, people cannot get over that. They do not believe South Carolina baseball, through, I don't know, maybe something God sent down from above, should miss the tournament 2 out of 3 years. That's just a sin. And it cannot be tolerated in this town and in this state. That's what they think. The fact that the guy averaged 40 wins a year and went to 3 and went to 2 supers counts for nothing when you miss 2 out of 3.
Yeah,
So-
short memories. You know, what have you done for us lately?
And
But,
I guess, you know, losing 3 years in a row the series to Clemson hadn't helped him either when it comes down to that. But anyway.
Well, you know, we've heard Ray Tanner say that he's willing to pay to bring the right guy in here.
But
What does that mean?
Is he willing to pay over $2.5 million all total to get this deal done?
Yeah,
that's about, not knowing the
that's my
actual
question.
figures. That's about what it's going to cost. By the time you pay off O'Sullivan's buyout, you pay his salary, which will go up, and you pay off Holbrook. Now, I don't know what they agreed to. He's owed about $850.
Yeah.
If I were Chad, I'd hold him to every penny of it. But maybe he's a nice guy and he's letting them all for $600, $500. I don't know what kind of deal they worked out. He doesn't owe that to them. They pushed him out, you know. He didn't. Well, he says he was going to resign or thinking about resigning, but I mean, they pushed him out.
Now, is that, and it's true, is he interviewed for an assistant's job? At
The Big
Vandy?
Spur reported over the
Vandy,
weekend that
yeah.
he was. They said he was interviewing for a job there. Then I was told this afternoon it was a recruiting coordinator's job
Yeah, at
there
Vandy?
At
At Vanderbilt?
Vandy,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
That'll
we'll
be
see.
interesting.
Do we want to take this real quick? We got time for a quick call, or who is it? Lee in Columbia. If you can give us 40 seconds, you can go.
A quick thing, Phil. I think the running back from North Carolina, he might go to Georgia because the 2 running back graduate. And the second thing, tell the Citadel to learn to throw the football. They're stacking 9 and 10 man. If they learn to throw the football, they can go undefeated the last 2 years. You guys have a great night.
Thank you.
Well, they need some wideouts, and I think they got them.
Yeah.
So,
and don't
yep.
forget the thing about Georgia too. You get really nice cars when you go to Georgia. You know, just ask Herschel. Just ask any of them. They get really nice cars. There's a picture of Zeus on his Twitter feed in front of leaning on a very nice car. I'm not sure it's
They
his,
got
but
dealerships all up I-85.
thank you, Jay.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Appreciate
Good to
you
see you,
dropping
Tom,
by.
Phil. Appreciate it.
Hey, have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.